Strategy is very fundamental in an advanced development program, because in strategy what we really explore and teach is how do firms outperform other firms, right? So that's the basic essence of strategy. Now, it doesn't matter really which functional background you come from, whether you're in finance as a supporting function, or you're in drilling operations in a public sector oil company, or you're an accountant, or you're in marketing, or you're in HR. At the end of the day, in order for a company to really think about a plan and execute it to perfection, you need a tremendous amount of alignment between the functions. So in some ways, the field of strategy is function agnostic. Now, the question is, what do we do here? What is the specific view that I bring to the classroom? Now, there are two views of strategy. One is a more static kind of a view, and there are certain frameworks there which are very critical. So, for example, which market are we competing in? What is the structure of that market? Who are the different players in that market? Right. So that's more of a static supply-side driven strategy. And in that, what we explore are more of the traditional frameworks. For example, Porter's 5 forces being one of them. There's another view of strategy, and to me that is the more exciting and the more happening part of strategy, which is how do you change the rules of the game? So instead of the strategy of the firm being determined by the structure of the industry in which you're performing in, how can your strategy change the structure of the industry and therefore lead to profits? And that's where the idea of innovation comes in. And as far as I'm concerned, strategy and innovation today are pretty much aligned and pretty much synonymous in many ways. The question of innovation as a vision through which strategy unfolds is important, because at the end of the day, what you have to think about is, how do you create value for your customers? What's your value proposition? It's not enough just to come up with a new product or a service and pioneer a market and find that somebody else basically runs up with all the money, right? So it's about value creation, it's about value delivery, and it's about value capture. But the really interesting thing is, each of these three components are very dynamic when you consider the fact that technologies in the market are changing, the customers' needs are changing, your competition is changing, industries are converging now to provide solutions rather than products per se, right? So there are changes on both the supply and the demand side, on numerous factors, including regulatory changes, for example. So now, in this constant process, in this turmoil, how can you take a step back and think systematically and creatively in order to come out with a compelling value proposition that others in the market have not been able to come out with, right? So it's about, how do you create something unique and something compelling and then deliver it flawlessly to the market, right? So these are some of the fundamental questions and insights that strategy brings to the table, and that's why I think it's just tremendously important for any senior level manager to do a deep dive into these issues.